We're here in sunny Savona on a beautiful day in July to test the latest Azimut 50. It's their latest Flybridge boat. And when we first walked down the pontoon and stopped at the stern, I thought we were outside the wrong boat because it looked so voluminous, more like a 60-footer. But all that extra accommodation and deck space is one thing. One of the big questions is, how does a boat this big and corpulent handle out on the water? So we're here to see if there are any compromises involved. Of course, we've all seen this sort of brilliant arrangement before, haven't we? Split foredeck, which gives you the advantage of the seating, but normally on 65-footers, not 50-footers like this. But the other fantastic advantage, which is joy, having fiddled around with fenders on this boat a few times, is being able to get across the foredeck very quickly with warps and fenders. It's a really big safety feature. So a real sort of safety first theme running through the decks on this boat, and this is a really good example. You actually go round the corner and onto the start of the side decks before you start to get up, so you've got this really big deep bulwark protecting you. And then even when you've taken a few steps up, the final step up still has quite a deep bulwark here protecting you. Whether you're going up or down, this feels absolutely terrific. Okay, when you first come up here, what may impress you the most is the sheer scale of this Flybridge for a 50-footer. But actually it's not the size that's important, it's the detail. That safety first thing emerges again. Azimut have always used these wraparound radar arches and in the middle of the boat, and they just make the Flybridge feel so safe and secure and sort of closed in. This is a Flybridge you feel as though you're in rather than perched on. And back here as well, guardrails really chunky and, as you can see, really deep. Now some great details forward. The dash is very well laid out. The windscreen comes up quite high to keep the breeze off your head. There's a great storage locker as well forward of the helm, which is a real rarity. So forget about the scale of this thing, it's actually the detail that makes this area good. The biggest surprise that this boat has in store for its potential owners is not the amount of space inside or the amount of space outside, it's actually this, it's the driving experience, and it really was a surprise. With a boat this corpulent and this heavy, 23.5 tons fully loaded, you expect some sort of trade-off, I guess, in terms of not sedate handling, but sort of slightly sluggish feel to the boat. It's a lot of boat you're pushing through the water, and this boat was having none of that at all. The steering's really light, it turns quickly, handles very well. We didn't have terrible conditions today, but we did have the wake of a big photo boat to play with, and the boat was completely unperturbed by that, never slammed at all, never shimmied at all. I felt in complete control all the time. It's actually a lot of fun to drive. It doesn't feel sporty in that sort of light, fast sports cruiser sense, but it feels very, very solid and very, very controllable. It was a real surprise to find something this big drive so well. So here inside you can see straight away that Azimut have decided to go for the Galley down layout rather than Galley up, which they have on their 54. And that is the fundamental thing you have to ponder with this boat. The workings of this boat change completely by moving the Galley down, partly because it's down there, but also partly because it's a lot smaller than it would be up here. And the other thing to bear in mind, just as a small point, is that because Azimut have refused to reduce the headrooms down in here, headroom in the owner's cabin is fantastic, and of course the Flybridge is very tall, headroom in here is really good. The inevitability is that there are some steep steps to contend with as you go up and down through the boat. 5 steps down to the Galley in this case, and 2 reasonable sized steps here as well. Absolutely no doubt about it, this is the main compromise, perhaps the only compromise actually you have to ponder in this otherwise terrific boat. It's the size of the Galley and the storage in the Galley. So eye level lockers, this is just a dummy, it's not real. This one, I assume Azimut are going to add a stay to this, has this sort of funny little draw up here. This one here, again, is quite sort of small, and then behind here we have 2 lockers, but they're not really sort of utilised in any great way, I think. And then a drawer, which is behind here, which you have to pull out. So you have to do 2 operations to get to the drawer, which I think is a bit sort of silly, really. What would have been better here is a set of really good deep drawers to take advantage of what little space there is in here. And again, no infill on the sink here, so limited countertop space, but no chance to expand it a little bit. So And again, an oven here which you have to reach over and in sideways to, which isn't great with heavy hot bits of food. So in general, not a great galley really. And you know, if you're planning on doing a lot of cooking on board, then you maybe ought to be looking at the 54. I guess this cabin it's sort of what we've come to expect these days from boat builders who can pack in ever bigger cabins into ever smaller boats. But this one does stand out in that this boat's only just over 50 foot long, and the headroom in this cabin, right round the sides of the bed, is very good indeed. The other thing that caught my eye is that there is no overhead lighting in this cabin at all. The only lighting is out on the sides of the boat and on the back here, which I think will make this corner quite gloomy with this sort of dark wood, you know, when come night time. However, Azimut, I would point out, Azimut do offer an alternative timber, which is a sort of light oak timber, which they've used on a lot of their other boats before, which I think looks fantastic actually, and that will lighten up this whole area considerably. I guess down here it's pretty much what we've come to expect from Azimut, which is a good, sound, tidy, well labelled installation. The labelling's actually gone overboard this time. They've even labelled the flow of fluid in the pipes, which I think is quite handy if you're coming to something for the first time. Space around the engines is, you know, not bad. Space between the engines is pretty good indeed actually. I can crouch and go down there without getting on my knees. My favourite detail by far is that instead of illuminating with conventional lights, Azimut use these strip lights which you can angle up on their clips to suit, or you can detach them completely and carry them round and point it at whatever you're fettling. Really nice little detail, that. The interesting thing about this boat, I think, is that although its great volume suggests that it's the accommodation that's going to be the main beneficiary, in actual fact I think the reason this boat achieves greatness is because of its deck spaces and the driving experience rather than what's down below. Every aspect of the deck to me is really good. The safety around the side decks, moving around the foredeck, that great split foredeck space with the seating, the Flybridge area again feels very safe, and the cockpit area is terrific too. So, and the driving experience, to cap it all off, the driving experience is a real joy, a real surprise as well for such a big corpulent cruiser. That's the impressive bit of the boat for me, it's the driving and the deck spaces.